Hey guys, if you're new here, I'm Glenda Walsh-Krause, a clinical musician, and on this channel I like to add in some content on playing the violin as a professional and things that go along with that. And one thing that we have to do is change our strings. So for the student violinist, you might change your strings twice a year. It just depends on how much you play. But that's the general average. Most students change their strings 2 times a year, every 6 months. For professionals, it can be anywhere from every 3 months to 6 weeks. So today I'm going to do a full string change. I'm going to put a full set of new strings on Buttercup, my violin. I do have fine-tune pegs. I have the Wittner fine-tune pegs. Okay, so there is a mechanism in the head of the peg that makes them act like fine-tuners. So these are different, and these are growing in the professional violinist world in popularity. They're growing in popularity. I do believe that they're only available for full-size instruments, and I very much believe that students should have traditional friction pegs until they can use them properly and easily before switching to something like this. You just need to know how to do it, and you only get that experience by doing it. So anyway, the reason why I got the Wittner fine-tune pegs is that it is true that if you have 4 fine-tuners on the tailpiece, it dampens the sound of your instrument. It doesn't ring as much. So you need a way to do that, and the only way to do that is if you have well-fitted pegs. Now, Buttercup is over 300 years old, and she needed some work done on the pegs. Okay, so she would have had to have some work done for the pegs to fit correctly. That was something that was coming up maintenance-wise that I needed to get done anyway. And so when the time came, I decided just to go ahead and go with the Wittner fine-tune pegs because they work so well. They keep the pegs from slipping. I've never ever had a peg slip because they just don't. They're held in place. So the peg doesn't actually turn in the peg box. It's the head of the peg that turns. So there's never any slipping. I've never had any major tuning problems or anything like that. So they're fantastic. Again, they're growing in popularity with the professional community, and there are a couple brands. I have the Wittner fine-tune pegs, which are the most popular for professionals. Yeah, so, and I just absolutely adore them. There's some mystery about how to put new strings on the fine-tune peg, so I'm going to show you how to do that today. I haven't actually found a video on YouTube showing us how to do that, so I hope to help you if you have recently had these pegs installed and need to change your strings or a string has broken. Let's see, one other thing about the Wittner fine-tune pegs is that they are not glued in. There are other brands of pegs that you actually have to glue into the peg box. So this is nice because if I decide to go back to traditional pegs, these just come right out. Okay. Alright, so let's get started. Of course, you'll need your little lovely, you'll need a and not a mechanical pencil. You need a old school pencil for this one, a set of strings, a tuner or a tuning fork. A tuner is better when you do a full string change, and then a cloth. Okay, when you're tuning when you're putting new strings on your instrument, you do not take off all the strings at once. We hold the tension of the strings holds the bridge and the sound post in place. If you take them all off at once, the sound post is going to fall. The bridge is not that big of a deal to set up on your own unless you have a sound post setter, a special tool, and know exactly where to place the sound post. You're going to be in trouble if it falls down. You will have to see your luthier. Okay, so first things first, we're going to start with one string at a time. And I'm going to give you a close-up of the peg box so you can see what it looks like up there. Okay, so the first things first, we have to take off this string. I like to start on the E string and then work my way down. Okay, now this is a good opportunity to adjust your fine tuners if you have fine tuners. So before I take it off of the peg side, I always loosen the fine tuner. I bring it out. Okay, now remember, you don't want it to be so loose that you hear that it rattles. Okay, so it should still catch. Okay, so now it's all the way out. Now I get to take it off at the peg. The only drawback about having the Wittner fine-tune pegs is that they fine-tune. Okay, so with traditional friction pegs, when you turn the peg, it tunes the string quite a large amount. This is a fine-tune peg, so it moves in the same increments as your fine-tuner. So it takes a long time to take strings off and put new strings on. It's a much longer process in that respect, but so worth it with all the other benefits. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just turn the head of the peg. Do you see how the whole entire peg doesn't move? It's just the head of the peg. Okay, see how it's rotating around. Okay, so what I'm doing is going the wrong way because I'm backwards in the camera. So I want to go this way so that it's loosening. Okay, so the string's coming off the peg, it's coming forward. Let's see, I wonder if it'll focus a little bit. Too close. Okay, so we're going this way. So you can start to see the string coming off. Okay, so you just keep going that way. Okay, and it's the same direction for traditional pegs versus these Wittner fine-tune pegs. Okay, so I'm always to lower or loosen, I have to turn the peg towards myself so that it rotates around this way and the string comes down and off. Okay, and then just to hold things in place, I use my thumb underneath the string, and you want to try to keep the instrument as flat as you can. That way, if there's any tension lost, the sound post doesn't go too far. At least it won't fall over, but it won't be as tightly nudged in there. Okay, so as you can see, I'm turning. If I had traditional pegs, it would have been done by now. Just keep going, the string's coming off. So just to show you, here I am at the end. You see there's a little hole in the peg, that's where the string goes into. So you see that? So what I'm going to do is just pull it out. Okay. Alright, and then at the other end, it already came out, but I'll show you in the end of the fine tuner. There's a little ball here. Okay. And you may want to put your cloth, when you start, underneath the fine tuner, because when the string comes off, it will come down and you don't want to scratch up your violin. So you just take it out of the fine tuner. Okay, just a little closer. The fine tuner has a little space in it. Do you see that? Little slot. That's where the string sits into, and then the ball holds it into place. So now what I have to do is lubricate the bridge and the nut, and that's what the pencil is for. So the graphite lubricates where the string touches, the 2 points where the string touches, to keep it from the bridge or the finger or the nut from pinching the string and breaking it. If you have a lot of pinching anyway, you need some work done, so the bridge itself, the groove should not be so deep that it pinches the string, and same thing with the nut. So if you have strings breaking at the bridge or the nut, the groove is probably either too deep or too narrow, so you need to have that fixed. Anyway, then we take the pencil and we actually draw on the bridge in the little groove. So if I show you a close up, do you see how it's already dark? That's where I'm drawing. I'm just taking my pencil and filling in here. Okay, so I'm going to do that at the bridge. Okay, so it's darker now. And then also here in this groove in the nut. So I'm going to take my pencil and fill this in. Okay, and that process is the same for traditional pegs. Alright, and then the strings. So I have these Peter Infeld strings. Okay. So I have never tried these before. This is the first time I've tried this brand, so I'm going to put these on. So inside they come all, this is a full set, so I've got all of my strings, sometimes even extra E string in the full set. Got an E, A, D, and G, perfect, 'cause that's what we need. And then they'll be listed on the outside. And they come in these little envelopes. Take it out. Okay. Oh boy, I did not expect this. So I've got a loop and there's a little ball in here. Okay. So there's a surprise. I expected, when I ordered it as a ball end, I guess they give you the option that you have to construct it yourself. Okay. So first things first, they have, this is kind of nice. Oh, I'm gonna drop this little ball. Okay, so here's what I'm dealing with. It's so tiny. I'm trying to hold on to that thing. So they gave me the ball so I could put that on, and then a tube. Okay, so this plastic tube helps protect the bridge. It helps keep the string from cutting into the bridge, but I don't have that issue, and frankly, I think it's annoying when we have these tubes on the string, so I end up trying to take them off anyway. So, yay! It's not even on there. Okay. I usually don't use the strings that come in the full set. I prefer a different, my gold brocket B string, which I have some, so I'll give this one a go since I have it and see what happens here. Okay, so now what I'm going to try to do is get, just so you can appreciate this little tiny loop and this little tiny ball. I'm going to try to pop it in. Oh my goodness. Do they have instructions? Yes. It's just put it in. That's all the instructions are. Friends, it's this. Ball in the loop. It's just so tiny, so small. I think I can. Maybe I can't. I got it. Okay, so it snapped in there. That was definitely hard. What do I have on my hands? Gross. Who knows? Changing strings, polishing instruments is a dirty job, friends. A dirty job. Okay, so there it is. It's in there now. Okay, so here we go. We've lubed up the bridge and the nut with the graphite. So then, remember that little notch that we have in the fine tuner down here? What I'm gonna do is take the ball end and just place the string in here and pull up, okay? This is where things get a little tricky. So I grabbed the other end of my string, lost the end. So you have to keep tension on the string so that it doesn't fall out. And if it does, that's okay. Sometimes you have to go back and forth on the ends until you get kind of secure, and then we're good to go. All right, so what I'm gonna do is find that hole in the peg and put this string in the hole. And sometimes you have to turn the peg a little bit just to get it at the right angle. Okay. And you do have multiple holes, so you have to find the one that works so that the wrapping is the cleanest. And of course, because we have the fine-tuned pegs, it takes a little while. Okay, so I've got the one that I want. Okay, so I've pushed it up through, the hole here. It's kind of dark. Okay, oop, up here, see, okay. So then what I'm going to do is we roll the opposite way. To get the string around the peg, I have to take the head of the peg and turn away from myself. Okay, so I'm going this way, backwards around. Okay, now I've already lost the end of the fine tuner, but that's okay. So to keep everything nice and neat, I want to hold the string, have some tension on it, and get it around once or twice. And we're trying to do it clean so that the string is right next to itself on the peg, so it lines off, so it's not all zigzaggy. Alright, so I have it around a couple times here, so I'm going to grab this end. I'm keeping tension. Okay, still not quite short enough to go around. So like I said, sometimes you have to go back and forth. Sometimes you can hook the end in the beginning, but I find that the string's too long. So I always try anyway. Okay, so I'm just again holding it at the end here and turning around this way. Okay, now I usually just hold it in my lap like this, but for the video I was kind of doing it sideways weird. Let's see if you can see better there. Okay, and then you turn for the rest of your life. I should have done a string change in story time. I can tell you a story while I do this. Okay. My hand's getting tired. Yeah, so guitar players have a string winder. You can put it on their pegs because the pegs on a guitar or bass are mechanical. So they have something called a string winder that you put on and you go like that, and it goes much faster. It's much easier on your wrists than this is. So maybe one day we'll get a string winder. Okay, so I've gone just a little bit too far, so I'm going to back up. Beep, beep. Okay, and then rehook at the fine tuner point. There we are. Holding my tension still, otherwise it's gonna fall out of this end. And then I'm just guiding it into the grooves in the nut and the bridge. And there we have it. Now I do bring up the tension. Bring up the tension all the way too soon. You do want the string to have some time to stretch out, and it can stretch while I'm doing the other ones. Okay, so like I said, I go on to the next string next, which is A string, which is this peg. So again, to take it off, you have to roll forwards towards you to loosen the string. Okay, but it's towards you because I'm doing it backwards right now. So if it's facing me, then I'm rolling this way. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna roll some more. In my practice journal, I have a log where I write down when I change my strings. So if I forget, when's the last time I changed my strings? I should probably change them if they're not sounding terrible. I write down when I did it and then also what kind of strings I had, because it can be hard to remember sometimes, especially if you're in a period of trying out new strings, which I am in. Then it can be tough to remember if you're trying so many. Like if you have tried like 4 or 5 different sets or more in a year, it can be tough. And then you can also write down whether you liked them or not, so you don't make this expensive mistake of buying strings you don't like again and remembering why you don't like them. Okay, so here we are at the tail piece where I don't have the fine tuner. The ball is just in the hole. Let's see, I wonder if I can get, yeah, underneath. You see right here, you can see the ball. So what it does is do you see the shape? There's the round part where you can stick the ball in, and then the smaller part that the ball can't come through, and that's how it's held into place. So you just unhook it and pull it out. Okay. Again, graphite, gotta lubricate the bridge, the notch in the bridge. I go out of the lines. So I get inside the groove and then I do the edges as well. Okay, and then nut. And then you find your A string. The hole in this one, since it's in the top of the peg box, it's really hard to see, I think, on the camera, so I'm going to skip showing you that one. The ball is in, oh, thank God, because I don't want to have to put a ball in to every single string. That would be terrible. Okay, so at this end, again, you just put the ball in the hole, the circle part here, and then push up and pull up so that it catches. Okay, like I said, it's always a game of balancing, going back and forth in the tension. So I can hold it here, keep tension on it, and then I like to put my arm underneath just to help keep the tension while I put it in the hole in the peg box. Okay, so push in. Turn it a little bit more. And sometimes the string is kind of like going down, so you might have to bend it a little bit at the end so that there's enough stiffness for it to catch, so you can get it through. So there, you can put it through 2 holes, which I'm trying to do. You don't really have to do that on these because it shouldn't slip. I mean, the peg's not going to slip, but this string lost the tension there. Did you see that? This string should not slip out. Okay, I think I'm going to choose a different hole. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't want that one. Alrighty, Rue, I think I got it. Okay, so it's in there. Like I said, I always try to put the ball end in first. It never works out. One day I won't do that. Okay, so then I'm turning the head of the peg away from me so that the string wraps around. Okay, I'm going to get around maybe once. Okay, and then I can pull back here and put the ball end back in and catch it. And again, I'm holding the tension here as I turn my peg, little peg. Yeah, so I guess I can talk a little bit about some of my plans coming up for the next year. This year, I had fully intended on this channel to record my therapeutic music, so people could have something to listen to, and I did start doing that after the COVID situation started, but then for me, for teaching, I've gotten super busy trying to get everything online, so that ate up a lot of time, and that has finally settled. So I'm going to be able to do more of that kind of thing, which is great. Yeah, so expect to see some more videos of me playing and putting up my therapeutic music. Alright, I think that one's about in place. Ouch! Okay, again, we want some tension here to keep everything in place. This A string has it's thicker than my last A string, so we'll see how that works out. So you can hear how these tune. I mean, they're fine tuned, but it can move kind of fast once you get going. It just feels like it takes forever when you're changing strings. Okay, next up is the D string. First I gotta take it off. Okay, that's this one here. And remember, we're trying to loosen this string, so it should go forward. Okay, and then you'll see the string start to come down. Yeah, so that's the good news for this coming year on this channel. I hope to post things more regularly, more often, now that other things are squared away. And I think I might start with some holiday music. Like a playlist of that for you. Now, right now, I don't really have anywhere to film except at home, So it's a little weird because I definitely like to do the videos of me playing as well, but it's a little tough because playing videos of me has the same background all the time, which can be a little bit boring, I think. So I'm not sure how much of that I'll do of actual like filming while I'm playing versus just recording and uploading the recordings to YouTube. So we'll see. I might do a little mix of both. Okay. All right, now that the D string's off, again, we go in with a pencil. I'll show you the peg and how to wrap it around on the G string because it's the lowest and the easiest one to string to put on and to see from the camera. Hopefully the color of the thread at the top will be a nice bright color, like this is orange, so it's much easier to see. So let's hope. I think it might be because this is by, I believe this is the same brand, the same company that made the last one, the last set of strings. Okay, so here's my D. Nope. Okay. Yeah, so the threads on the strings, they're codes. So different brands of strings have different colors, and they have different colors for the name of the string. So, you know, this is the D string, so we have this like sort of olivey green at the top. Their A string for this set is blue, and the E string is this more hunter green. And then the bottom is purple. These are Tomastic. Yeah, Tomastic and Feld Vienna. The Tomastic strings always have purple on the fine tuner side, on the tailpiece side. So you can kind of see the brand and which string it is and what kind of like which set it's from. We got codes for our strings with the threads. Okay, so I'm going to select the hole that I want. Pop it in. Okay, and then again I'm turning away from myself to wrap the string around the peg. Okay, we'll go a little bit. And when you're putting strings on, you don't want the strings to cross. It's sort of like Ghostbusters. You don't want the strings to cross, right? Because as you're tuning, the strings will rub up against each other, and then that friction causes the strings to break down. And once they break down and get thin, they will snap. They will break on you. Okay, so don't cross the strings. The strings. Okay. Now on this end, we're gonna check to see if I've got enough tension here that I can put the ball end in. Good. Yep. So again, you just drop it into the hole and then pull up through the skinny spot, and that catches the ball on there. Okay, I'm holding tension and continuing to turn so I get it all into place. All right, last one is the G string. So I'm going to take that out. Again, I'm turning towards myself, or towards you fine, lovely people. Okay, to take it off. Oh, just to show you, see the last brand that I had, the bottoms were green on all of them. And sometimes they have patterns, like the set that I used to like was actually a gut string, and I no longer use the gut string since I'm vegan. So, but those I remember having a pattern on them. The thread was like white and green, kind of like mixed together, like a spiral, like a cane. And I'll show you this string here, or you can kind of already see. See, it's orange, and then it has this little kind of like black stripe on it, just the one. And the other string also had a stripe at the top, the color. Okay, so obviously with the number of strings on each instrument, plus the different brands, and even within a brand, we have different types of strings. So we kind of run out of just colors. Yes. yellow. So friends, my favorite color is purple, followed by my second favorite color, green, like a nice olivey green, like this shade, and then yellow. And guess what? Yes. Okay, this is turning out to be a good set. I've got 2 shades of green, a very pretty blue, which I don't hate, and then yellow. Can you hear my cat in the background? Look, I did it again. Okay, so this spot, let me find, I'm going to turn so I can get a good spot for the string, the hole. Alright, now the holes are behind the D-spring, so it's going to be a little tough to see. But I'm going to take the thread and try to find the hole first. Okay, so then I'm pushing, bend this one a little bit. Okay, see how I bent. Alright, so then here's the bottom hole. I'm going to push up through so now you can see it going through. Okay, and I leave a little tail. You don't want too much of a tail. You don't want it to scratch the back of the peg box. Okay, and you also don't want so much of a tail that it's just flipping every time you turn the strings that you're tuning. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I got to wrap around. So I'm going to turn, try to hold it. Part of holding the tension also keeps the string from coming out when you're doing this. Okay, all right, and I'm going to turn it towards me or away from you fine lovely people, and I'm turning it and turning it, and do you see how it's starting to wrap around? Also, part of holding the tension while you're doing this helps us to wrap cleanly around. So you see the E strings are always a little weird. You would try to get as clean, or at least on my violin, as possible. But do you see how tightly everything's wrapped on these 2 strings where the strings are right next to each other? Also, I'm trying to do that here. But it's kind of hard to do that without holding tension on the string to kind of guide it into place. Okay, so my tail's a little long. Okay, so I'm trying to do that on this angle. Let's see. There you go. So you see how it's wrapping around? That is kind of cutting my fingers, holding onto it this way. Okay, pause so you can see a little better. So I'm wrapping it around. Okay, so that's what it looks like on that end. Did I do the graphite on this one? I don't know. Let's do it again just in case. Getting somewhere. Okay, so now I'm close enough. Oh, a little too far. It's my backing up sound. Okay, so then I put the ball into the hole in the tailpiece. Okay, like so. Okay, so it's in there. And then I pull forward into the slot and then up like that. I'm holding the tension here while I finish bringing the string up to enough tension that it will stay in place. And voila! I have my strings on. Alright. Now, what I'm going to do is bring them up in tune, okay, with my electronic tuner. I'm going to get as close as I can. And normally when you tune, you definitely want to use the bow, because when you play pizzicato, it decays. So the intonation will die off. So it'll be like in tune and then go flat. But because it's going to continue to go out of tune until they're stretched and in working order, it's okay. I mean, I can get as close as I can and then use my bow later. And I'm going to try, I'm not going to use this fine tuner, I'm going to leave it out. So when I go to do my final tuning, I'll use my bow. Like I said, I'll use pizzicato for now. Now I bring them all up to a half step too low. So I'm about at a D sharp now. tune. They're sort of close to being in tune. So then what I want to do is take a cloth, okay, and you rub the strings. We're trying to create some friction, some heat, and this helps to break them in sooner. Sometimes you have to put a new string on and you just don't have time to wait. Like, it can take up to a week for strings to fully stretch and settle down. Up until that point, it's just constant tuning. So you never want to change strings if you can help it before a performance or an audition or anything like that. So when you have a couple of weeks when nothing's going on, then you can change your strings. Okay, so I've seen people just do it that way, and then also you can open this up and go underneath your strings as well, and then fold over. Okay, alright. So let's check, see if we can get a little closer. Now, I still don't go all the way, I go really close. If you go before the strings have time to stretch, if you go right to it, it will snap, or it can snap. It doesn't always, but that's the likelihood. So I go just a few cents flat on the second tuning. Tuner is not picking this up. Okay, so I'm just a few cents flat for those. Okay, so on the final tuning, I am going to use my bow and see if I can get this all the way up to correct pitch. Get my shoulder spent on the back. Alright, I can move you guys back some. So I'll have some spice. I need to get a new sponge too. I love these, but I've had this one for a couple years and it's wearing off the stick on the back. So after playing for almost 30 years and not having Wittner fine-tuned pegs, I'm still adjusting, and I've had these for a couple of years, right? So I'm still adjusting of not trying to reach for the fine-tuner on the E. I can hear a little rattling because this isn't quite tight enough. Yeah, usually I spend a lot less time tuning, but when you put new strings on, it takes a while. And then, like I said, it can take up to a week or more depending on the type of string that you have. If you had a gut string, it takes longer than synthetic strings and then steel strings even, to stabilize. So I don't think, I mean, these are sounding pretty good so far, so I don't think that they will take more than a couple of days, but you're going to have to do a lot of extra tuning in the first couple of days of having a new string. So. Yeah, so far they sound pretty good. They feel pretty good. I think they're a little bit thicker than the last set, so it'll take some time to get used to them. But we'll see how they go, and I'll let you know how I feel about this brand. They're highly talked about, so check them out. Alright guys, that is my how to put strings on with the Wittner fine tune picks. Thanks for watching. Bye!